Welcome to Learning Photography with Duck. Here's your host, Duck.
Yay. Oh, yeah. I don't know what happened there. I was having so many problems with not Zoom, but with my OBS software last week. If you found out that I had camera problems, I can't figure out what happened, but if you can see, I have a slightly new graphic. I decided I was going to update my graphics since I was doing so much work on the stream anyway. So anyway, not like you want to know about all that behind the scenes crap anyway. Welcome once again to another edition of Learn Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, Duck, and today is Photoshop edition. And as promised, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new generative AI. Say that 10 times fast. Generative AI feature that was in beta for the longest time. It's now part of your normal subscription plan. So I'll show you some tips and tricks, what you can do with it and where it has some problems. And I'll also go into, what Photoshop's or what Adobe's going to be doing in terms of making money. Because of course they got to make their money. Before we do that, I just got a couple housekeeping things that I want to put out there. I mentioned last week that a friend of mine from the CTPPA is going to be giving a talk on, she is a legally blind photographer, which, let me clarify, just because she's got the term blind associated with her, it's not like blind. She can't see. It's just she's not legal to operate motor vehicles. She has a hard time. She has to get up and close to whatever she's looking at. Otherwise, it's a blur. It's shapes. It's shadows. So there are a lot of obstacles when you are a photographer with a visual impairment. And she's worked more than a few little tips and tricks to help keep herself organized, to keep herself sane during a photo shoot, especially if you're digging through a camera bag and you got gadgets and trinkets and batteries and memory cards, and you have a hard time seeing if are you grabbing an empty battery, or are you grabbing the full battery? Is the flash card something that has already been used? So she's got a lot of little tips and tricks on how to keep herself organized. That in talking with her, I realize I do some of those things myself, just because when you're in a rush, when you're at an event, and your attention is in 50 different places at one time, the last thing you need is to take your attention away when you're digging through your bag. So being organized allows you to go sight free as you're digging through stuff. If you are a wedding photographer, you know what it's like at the end of the evening. When the DJ's playing the music, the house lights are down, your equipment's stuck in a corner, and you're digging through it in sometimes deep darkness. So some of these tricks will help. If you're an astrophotographer, if you like going out at night doing light painting, these these tricks will work for you. So, if you're interested, it is hosted by CTPPA. There is a $20 fee if you are not a CTPPA member. And if you're not, hey, you might want to consider joining. Who knows? It's for professional photographers, but if maybe you're just a very serious photographer that you operate on a professional level, you might get some benefits from it.
Is it on a Meetup?
It is, I'm sorry?
Is that on Meetup?
No. In order to, I think I posted it in my feed on Learn Photography with Duck. You will need to go to ctppa.com and register through their website. And yes,
Okay.
it's October 18th, which I believe is a Wednesday. The other thing that's going to be kind of nice is the event is being hosted by Photo Flash Drive, which if you've never heard of Photo Flash Drive, they are a company that sells custom branded merchandise for photographers. So you can, and their biggest item that they sell are thumb drives that you can get branded with your company name, and they sell little gift boxes. So if you are a wedding photographer, if you do, the bar mitzvahs, the engagement photos, the graduation photos, anything like that, when you deliver digital goods to your client, it's really impressive if you can deliver those on a custom photo flash drive in a nice little gift box that is branded with your stuff. They do that kind of stuff. All right. And they're right here in Guilford. The owner is a really, really great guy, really down to earth. Along with the flash drives, they do other, they have the digital what do you call it? It's basically like a digital photo frame where you can preload it with a bunch of photos, and it just kind of slides through. They have photo books. They have all kinds of imprinted products, not just the flash drives. You can get if you want to get T-shirts with your logo on it. If you want to get water bottles, all kinds of keychains, all that good stuff. So anyway, they're going to be hosting the event, and there's going to be pizza and soda, I think, that they're going to be providing. And they're going to be giving a little tour of their facility. And I believe the deadline has already passed. But if you had signed up before the deadline, you can send them your logo, and they were going to give you a free gift. But double check, because I don't know when that deadline is. But double check. You may still be able to get in under gun. All right. Also, it's fall. The leaves are turning color, right? And it's looking like it's probably going to be a really lousy season with all the rain we've been getting. I mean, if you've listened to the news the past couple of days, the farmers are going ballistic because all their pumpkins are rotting on the ground from so much moisture. But anyway, I scheduled 2 photo walks in order to kind of, let's see if we can get some fall colors photographed. One this coming weekend and one the following one. I figure I'll do 2, and hopefully we'll hit some color somewhere along the way. All right, they're both on Saturday. They're both at 2:00 with a rain date for Sunday because, the weather's been crazy. If it's raining Saturday, we'll do it Sunday. If it's raining Saturday and Sunday, well, we'll do it the following week. All right. But this coming week, it's going to be in orange. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out. He sent me a message saying, hey, you got to try this Tucker's Ridge over in orange. I've never heard of it. And I saw the photos online and it's like, holy cow, it's right here, literally in my own backyard. So it's got a really cool overlook of the Housatonic River, right up the river. So you're going to get that valley look. All right. And hopefully, we'll have lots of colors along there. And then the following weekend, we will be at Jafrida Park in Meriden. That's another great little park if you've never been there. A few years ago, pre-COVID, I went there and I was able to photograph mushrooms galore in the woods there. Anywhere you look, there were mushrooms growing. And I just had a blast photographing mushrooms and turning them into little fairy houses and all kinds of good stuff. But anyway, Jafrida Park, it's very easy access. Both of these are very easy access. So you park and within 30 feet, you're literally right there. Jafrida Park is on the edge of an old quarry. So on the east side, there's an embankment with a little bit of a cliffside. You can actually go up the trail to the cliff, so if you feel like it, go for it. I'm not. And then on the west side, it's pretty, much water level. So it creates this nice little valley again for taking pictures, except instead of being a river, we now have the lake in the foreground. So anyways, hopefully we'll get some good photos. If you want to, sunset is at 6:20 now. So we're going there for 2:00. If you want to hang out for sunset, you're more than welcome to. I don't know. I probably won't. I'll probably have the wife with me, get her out of the house, so. But anyway, that's what's coming up. So hopefully you guys will join me. All right. Any news you guys want to share? Alan's thinking.
I got my book published.
You got your book published?
It came in the mail.
Oh, hold it up.
Blurb last month, and it came back, so I'm so excited.
Where is it? Show us. Hold it up.
I don't know where it is.
Oh man. Yeah. He teases and doesn't want to show us.
I don't know where it is. Anyway, I was out showing someone today, but
all right.
it was
Next.
fun, and I'm glad I did it, and it's interesting. I was already going through it, going, okay, we got to fix this little thing. And
yeah.
Because I really haven't done a lot of printing, and I was wondering how things would look.
Yep.
Printed,
Yeah.
And, which makes your generative AI tonight, because I've determined that the sharpening factor in Topaz AI is just a step too far.
Yeah. Well, the generative AI isn't for sharpening.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
I've just been thinking about that kind of stuff in general.
You're going to see that it's far from a sharpening thing. All right. So let's get into it. Let me go ahead and share screen. Share. Okay. Everybody see my pretty face? Okay. And let me go ahead and switch over to ta-da. All right. how many of you have played around with the new generative AI feature? Not yet? Carol, no. Alan, no. Okay. Um, well, I think the first thing we should probably do is let's talk about what Photoshop is doing. So this is from the Adobe.com website. There are frequently asked questions regarding the generative AI. The way it's going to work is that it's going to work on credits. All right, well, first of all, is the price, the monthly and or annual price, going to go up? Yes, it is. If it hasn't already, it's going to go up by, I think, like $2 a month. All right. So if you have the photography plan, which is what, $20 a month, it's going to, or 21 bucks, whatever the current price is, it's going to go up by $2. Okay. There's no way around it. If you really think about the way the system works, it kind of makes sense that they need to charge for this, because it is putting a lot of work on their computer systems. So the way generative AI works, it does not work natively in your program. You have to have internet connection, because it needs to communicate with the big monster computers up in the cloud and, out in Adobe Central in California, in order to process your commands, all right, your prompts, okay? And then once it processes it, it sends it back to your local machine, and then it generates a new layer, and then you can take it from there. But there needs to be communication to the big computers. So if you imagine the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that use Photoshop on a daily basis, you can just imagine the amount of traffic that is going back and forth just in generative AI. And on top of that, we have the other AI features of, Photoshop that have been around for a while, that require, use of those servers. You have all the neural filters that, people use. You have the AI selects and all that good stuff. All right. So they need to pay for all this hardware somehow. So I mean, I can understand. And, honestly, $2 more isn't that big a deal considering what you're getting out of it. Okay. But what are you getting out of it? It's still in its infancy. There's still issues with it. There are still, excuse me, a lot of limitations with it. Okay. And one of the limitations is that they are going to, in addition to adding on $2 to the bill, they're going to give you a set number of credits a month for you to use through, with your generative features. Okay. And there are two places really where it's going to hit you. One is the generative fill, and the other one is generative expand. All right, where you can expand your canvas, and it's going to fill in based on what you have as your main image. So if you say, oh, I got a square image, I need to make it rectangular, you can do that. It does a fairly decent job, but excuse me, it's going to cost you credits. So every time you hit generate, it costs you a credit. All right. Now, wow, excuse me. There is no, monetary equivalent, 1 credit equals X number of dollars, not yet. But if you look on the screen here, these are the points that they kind of allocated per month. And what we have, if you have the photography package, this is where you're going to fall into. Okay. Does anybody have the standalone, like just the Photoshop or just the Lightroom? Actually, you can't get just Photoshop. Oh yeah, you can. Anybody have just the Photoshop or just the Lightroom package? No? Okay. Most of us, we go with the photography package. All right. And everything is going to start the 1st of next month. All right. So right now, take advantage of it, experiment to your heart's content, generate as much as you want. It's not going to cost you anything. On November 1st, it's going to start counting. All right. And if you have if you have the photography package, you are grandfathered in, and you're going to get 250 credits per month. 250 credits per month. Okay. They do not accrue. All right. And when the new month rolls over, it resets. So if you are down to, 10 credits, come December 1st, you're going to get your 250 back. If you are a new subscriber and you say, you know what, I don't subscribe to any of the packages, but now I want to, try to get in before November 1st. Because after November 1st, any new subscriber is only going to get 100 credits. So it's nice that you're grandfathered in. All right. Now, if for any reason you say, oh man, I'm generating a lot of stuff, I because of work, because of a project, whatever it is, you're using a lot of generations. All right. If you run out, it doesn't mean when you press that generate button, it's not going to do anything. It will. All right. You can buy extra credits. And I think it's, I don't know, where was it? It's $5 for, let's see if I can find it. Of course, I should have marked it right. It's $5 for X number of extra credits. I think I don't know. I'll have to look it up if anybody's really interested in finding out. I can get that information for you. All right.
Hey, Doug, do you know if the unused credits roll over
No,
the following month?
No, they do not roll over. Everything resets back to 250 at the beginning of the month. Okay. So it's not like you can save up points, So, which, in a way I can understand. So
Duck, as you're gonna give us a couple of demos or go over it a little later, if you do something, can you see like, I just did this thing and I clicked away this many credits? Is it that type of thing? Like, I want to do this and it's going to be 3 credits and I can see that number trickling down.
Yeah, no, every time. All right. So every time you hit the generate button, it's going to be a credit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's per generate action then.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
So it's one click, one credit.
Okay.
But you get 3 every time you hit the generate, it gives you 3 choices. So, all right. So, all right. Any questions on the, how much is going to cost kind of thing? All right. So let's see some examples. All right. One of the things that I found when you are looking to generate some kind of content is that you have to be careful with your selection. All right. So, for example, if I want to add something to this image, all right. So here it is. I'm holding up a nice big present, but the present does not have a bow on it. So I want to put a bow on the present. And if you notice, you now have that little content bar that kind of floats around. All right. If you don't see it, go to Window, Contextual Taskbar, all the way down here. Let me go Window, Contextual Taskbar. Make sure that's checked. Okay. All right. And what normally happens is it'll put it underneath what, the lower part of the window you're working on. Okay. And every time you open up a new window, it's going to force it to the bottom. If you move it and you do something, it always tends to fly down to the bottom, which I find it kind of annoying. But if you go to the 3 little ellipses at the end, okay, you have the option to hide, reset, or pin the bar position. All right. If you notice, mine's checked because I will pin. And what it means is wherever I move it, it's going to stay there until I move it again. All right. So it's not going to keep automatically moving. Like, for example, if I put it up here, if it was not pinned and I do something, it's going to end up flying down to the bottom of the screen. And it's very annoying. So that's just me, take it for what it is. All right. So now, if we were to do a conventional composition, all right, and I wanted to put a bow on this present, I would need to go source out some, excuse me, either something from my own personal library, either I photograph a bow, or I go to a stock site, look for a bow, or I search through any of the Creative Commons stock sites and see if I can find a suitable bow. And then I have to not only kind of match the color that I want, although we can kind of flex that a little bit, but the type of bow, to a certain extent, and the lighting condition for that bow, which is important. The light in this particular image is over here, all right, coming in from camera left. So I would need to source some kind of bow where it has the relative angle of perspective that I need for this, and the lighting coming in from the left-hand side. So you can see that would make for, finding an appropriate bow, kind of like searching through, for a needle in a haystack. But if we were to do this conventionally, we would get the bow, we would cut out the bow from its original background in order to use it into our own, correct? Well, and when we have generative abilities, we can generate the bow, but we need to tell Photoshop where it's going. All right. And also, roughly, what is the shape or size of this bow? All right. Because I can put a small bow, I can put a large bow, but I need to tell Photoshop some of that information. Okay. So now, if one of the best ways to do it is just grab yourself some kind of selection tool. I tend to kind of gravitate towards the lasso, the freeform lasso, okay? Because this allows me to paint a shape in. All right, so in this particular case, I'm just going to go with something, traditional, which is the round ribbon bows that you see on gift packages. All right, and you can see that I kind of made it fairly large. All right, let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see the marching ants. Okay. In relation to the gift, that's fairly large. All right. Now, if I had done something like this, and I said, give me a large bow, Photoshop would say, well, you didn't give me enough room to place a large bow, so I can only fill that space with a little bow. All right. So you have to have a plan. All right, so in this case, I'm going to go with a fairly large bow. All right, and it's going to allow Photoshop to, it gives some breathing room. All right. Now, the other thing is, by placing this selection, it also allows Photoshop to understand, okay, what is going to be behind this object that I'm going to be generating, because it needs to match that background. All right. Because, as you'll see in a second, it's going to fill in that entire selection. All right. So I'm going to go to the generative fill here. Okay. And as soon as I put my mouse in there, it expands to a text box. And what I'm going to do is just going to say, well, first of all, I want it to kind of sort of match. So I said I want a green, green Christmas bow. Okay. Green Christmas bow. If you've ever used any kind of generative AI like Midjourney or Dolly or any of those others, it's a little bit more intense because it's going to generate the entire image. So you have to be very specific. Here, we're not generating an entire image. We are just generating an asset. We're generating an asset, something that we're going to add and composite into our scene. So in this case, I can use more simplistic words, but you can't go too simplistic, because then Photoshop is going to, whatever you don't say, whatever information you don't give, it's going to decide on its own. All right. So if I did not specify green, I may get back a red, a blue, a purple, a yellow bow. Who knows? Okay. All right. Once you have your text, all you got to do is just click on that generate button and give it a few minutes. Again, it has to communicate with the computers over at Adobe Central and then beam this information back. And there is my first suggestion. All right. And you'll notice that there are 3 suggestions that it generates that you can choose from. Okay. The other thing you're going to notice is that over here, it generated a layer. Okay. And in the layer description, it placed my prompt, green Christmas bow. All right. And you can see that there's a mask that reflects the circle that I originally created. Okay. And then off in the layer, you'll see that there is the bow there. Okay. Once it generates, look through the 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, and ooh, that's kind of nice. I kind of like that one. And then you can pick whichever one you like best. And you're going to find out as you play with this that some of the most common things it does fairly well. Like, bows on presents are ubiquitous. All right. So it's going to do a very good job at generating a bow. It's the more archaic, the more offbeat, the more fantastical prompts that it might have problems with. All right. And in that case, you may need to get a little bit creative with your prompts. And this is where it can start eating your credits because you'll generate something vague. It's not going to give you the response that you want. And then you have to try all over again. Okay. So that's why I said, while it's still free before November 1st, go nuts. Okay. Experiment. Push it to the limit. See what you can do with it. Okay. So here we have our 3 options. Option 1, option 2, option 3. And I kind of like option 3. All right. The other thing you're going to notice is that each one of these has it won't work with my Zoom. Okay, let's see this. Okay, it has a little ellipse menu thing and a trash can, so you can trash your selection if you need to. Okay, and if you click on the ellipses, it allows you to give Adobe some feedback. All right, was this a good generation, a poor generation, or do I need to really report it because it really missed the mark? Okay, so you're able to communicate back to Adobe. This, of course, is used to help train future versions of the software. So if you feel generous in helping, then by all means. Okay, so I kind of like the third one. But let's say, by chance, you don't like any of them, or you gave a prompt and you realize, oh, darn, I forgot to specify that I needed a green bow. Or you may say, you know what, I don't like the green bow. Now that I look at it, I want a red bow. Okay, so we can go ahead and type in red Christmas bow. So I just changed green to red. And then we just hit that generate button again. And it's going to generate 3 new views. And again, every time you hit the generate, it's going to be, oh, that's terrible. Look at that. That failed on that one. That looks like a bow that's been run over by a car. All right, so option 1, option 2, that's kind of nice. Option 3, oh, that's It's nice, but it's a little small. I kind of like option 2, but I still like my green bow better. I still like that one better. Okay. So now I generated some new ones, okay, with an updated prompt. All right. You can see that it says red Christmas bow here. All right. But if we look on my layer, it still has the original. All right. So just be aware that it doesn't update that part of it when you generate new variations. Okay. All right. Once you decide that you want to use it, all right, it becomes it stays a generative layer. Okay. So it's kind of tied to that generation. All right. And because there is a mask, all right, there's the mask that I originally built, okay, we can manipulate that mask, all right, because if I take away the background, there's the selection I made. And as you can see, in order to make the bow fit, the scene that I had behind it, it had to generate the surface of my gift box. Okay. So you might say, I don't want it to generate a new version of it. I just kind of want to, maybe I'll take my my brush, white as my foreground color. Oops, no, I'm sorry, black as my foreground color. And I might want to just take away some of this, right? So let's bring that background in, all right? And we can take away some of this background, all right? And you can see that, it really does a really, really good job of matching my background, okay? All right. So this is a very simple, generation of an asset, and you can go crazy. All right. Any questions on how to do this? Fairly simple. Okay.
Doc,
Yeah.
I have a question. When you started talking, you said, well, we have to understand that the light's coming from.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And so, what did you do? I missed that. If you
All right.
to tell,
No, I'm.
I have another point that I was going to make.
I
can see.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I did forget. All right. So if you are sourcing your own assets to do a traditional composite, those are the things you have to consider. But if you notice in what the AI generated, all right, remember we have our light source over on the left coming in. Look at the light source on the ribbon. The ribbon light source is from the left. The shadow is on the right. So it matched the lighting also. Okay.
Well, part of my comment was going to be that for me, looking at this generation, and I don't know if you control that after the fact, but the shadow looks a little heavy.
It does. But if you look at it, I mean, my shadow is pretty heavy on this side as well. So it kind of sort of matched it. All right. But that's a good point because, like I said, it's not perfect. All right. And if we go back and we look at some of these other generations that were made, all right, like this one here, if we zoom in, oops, let me switch my tools here. If we zoom in, okay, look at that bow. That's horrific. That's not even a bow. That's just a mangle of, ribbon looking shapes. Okay, that kind of sort of resemble a bow at one, in one sense or another, but really not. Okay, so there are faults. All right, and while it does a fairly decent job at creating a matching a matching shadow, it's not perfect, but we can go in and we can manipulate this just like any asset that we would add ourselves. Okay, because if we were to do this manually with an asset that we find somewhere or that we photograph ourselves, we would have to deal with the shadow, right? So
also the perspective, that's the
and the perspective. Yeah. So I can go ahead and, bring my brush back. All right. And instead of black, let me, or instead of going 100% black, let me go in at, let's say, 30% black. Okay. And now I can go ahead and I can knock down that shadow a little bit. Okay. Let me zoom out.
Okay.
And now maybe it fits a little bit better. All right. And just like that, I'm able to, make it match a little bit more.
I'm pretty new to all this prompt language, but I'm just also wondering, could you just tell it this time, hey, generate this kind of ribbon, but go easy on the background?
Okay. Well,
I've seen things where they give that kind of information where they
get
down to that detail.
All right. So to be very transparent with you guys, I have not played with this as much as I should. I played around some. I actually used it in a job today. Check this out. I'll give you a real world example of what I did. Where's my Lightroom? Here it is. All right. So I'm shooting some boring stuff here. Okay, where is it? Here it is. All right. So this is a flat lay I did earlier today. Okay. And let me zoom out. See that piece of rubber there? Okay. That's part of the rubber squeegee that goes on these bars here. So it's replacement rubber for these squeegees. You just thread it in, cut off what you need, and you're good to go. So it comes, in this nice little spool. Okay. How many of you have taken a piece of rubber, rolled it up like that, put it down, and had it stay? Doesn't happen, right? Let me show you. This is what it looked like. All right. I had to put a piece of cellophane tape to keep it from unraveling. All right. And I tried to be conscious of where I put it in order for me to be able to edit it out in post. Okay. So let me go back to my original, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up in Photoshop. All right, give it a second. It's thinking. There we go. Okay. And right here it is. Zoom in. Okay. This is before. All right. So what I did is I created a new layer. I took some of my clone tools and I was starting to do it the normal way that I'm used to doing. And I said, wait a minute. What the hell am I doing? I have this new generative AI capability. All right. So what I did is I created a selection. All right. There's my selection. You can see. All right. And for the prompt, oh yeah, so it's okay. So it's already killed the prompt. It's not going to let you see the other versions. All right. So for the prompt, I did not type anything into it. Actually, you know what? Here, we'll do it like this. Okay, we'll go back. Here's my generative fill. All right, so these contextual bars, they're designed to, depending on what tool you have selected, it's going to give you prompts as to what the normal, thing that you do with that tool is. All right. So in this particular case, the default is, it's a selection. The default is generative fill. Okay. Now, in this case, I do not want to add anything. All right. I'm not adding a bow. I'm not adding anything. I'm actually removing something. So for removing, I can just leave it blank. Okay. And the AI is pretty good at understanding that, I'm going to analyze this. There's something here that shouldn't belong. Let me take care of it. All right. So generative fill. I'm going to leave the text box blank, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit the generate button. All right. And of course, give it a few seconds. How long it takes is really dependent on your machine and your internet connection, obviously. Okay. And it's going to generate 3 variations of this. And you can see just on the first generation, it did a really, really decent job. But I'm going to look at all 3 of them and make my decision based on that. So there's the first, there's the second, slight variation, and there's the third. I don't like the second. It's doing some crazy thing there. The first one's pretty good, and the third one, it's got some craziness. I don't know if you can see it, but let's see. Right. Oh, can I? Won't let me draw. Okay.
It's kind of hard to see, but it's very noticeable when you click onto it. You can see it get fatter on both
Oh
sides.
yeah. So there it is. There it is. Now okay. So it's right here along that edge. It's like a little ghost image or something. Okay. And then the second one has it's in a slightly different place, but it's like right about there. All right. And then the third one is fairly clean. All right. So you can see slight variations. All right. And I like the first one, so then at that point I would just, close this up and commit to that and just move on. It's done. I don't have to do anything else to it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to get rid of that one because I like my first original choice better. So let's delete that one. Okay. All right. So it's great for removing stuff. What I found though is it works best when you have something fairly simplistic behind whatever it is you're trying to remove. Okay. Let's see. All right. So for example, everybody remember this photo from our multiplicity shoot? Okay. This was done pre-generative AI capabilities. So I had to look for some free stock of fishes in order to make this composite. All right. And you can see, you know, they're not the best choices. They don't quite fit in. All right. If we look at this fish here, okay, the light for my scene is coming from this direction, but the light on the fish is coming from this direction. All right. I wasn't in the mood to change the lighting. And I could have flipped it, but to hell with it. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll get rid of the small fish and the large fish. I'm just going to turn the layers off simply because, they're on individual layers. Okay. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a fish. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the top here, top of my stack. Okay. Wherever you are in a stack, when you make a generative fill, it's going to add a layer right where your stack is. So again, I'm going to select my lasso tool, simply because I have the most amount of control over it. And I'm going to just create a small little oval here, and I'm going to say small fish. All right. And I'm going to pray for the best. Give it a second. It's thinking, it's communicating, it's going up to the cloud and bringing it back. And it's going to give me 3 selections. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I kind of like that third one. It really stands out. Okay. All right, so let's zoom in. That's not bad. That's not bad. I don't know what kind of fish it is, but it's not bad.
You're not fishing in an aquarium, that's for sure.
Oh, I know, right? So all I would need to do is just, make a string to continue, which is easy to do. All right. But I can generate my small fish here. All right. And now let's generate a big fish. So I'm going to eyeball roughly where the big fish needs to go here. Right. All right. And where's my lasso tool? I'm going to go and roughly the shape of a fish. Let's see if it does. I'm going to go crazy. And I'm going to generate large fish.
Barracuda.
Oh, okay. Large
Barracuda.
Is it 1 or 2 C's in barracuda? Barracuda. Or is it 2 D's? It's got like 2 C's or 2 D's, something like that. All right. I think I got it. Generate. Let's see if hilarity ensues. Give it a sec. Oh, what the heck? That's some kind of mutant alien fish. That's not a barracuda.
You did misspell barracuda.
Did I? Okay, all right.
Or something.
And that one, oh my God. Oh, crapola. All right.
Barracuda is B-A-R-R-A-C-U-D.
Oh, 2 R's. Okay. All right. So BARRCUDA. All right. Well, generate. What an alien looking creature that is. Holy smokes. Oh, that's still an alien creature. All
Unless he
right.
doesn't know what. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah.
No, that's still alien looking. Oh, that looks more like a garfish. All right, so let's get rid of barracuda. We'll get rid of barracuda. I'll just go with large fish. Large fish. Ooh, good. That looks nasty.
What's happened here?
Maybe because of the way you did the
It
selection, you
could
made it
be.
look like a fish.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. All right, so wow, let's toss that out. Delete that. Okay, and let's just make a normal selection. Okay, so large fish. Okay, give it a few seconds. That was quite interesting. Scary, but interesting. Oh, there we go. That looks more like a fishing lure. All right, so number one, number two, there's something going on there, and number three, oh, wow, that one's been filleted and decapitated. Okay, so let's generate a new one. Oh, this is terrible. Had no problem with the little fish, but for some reason the big fish, it's just not doing it. Okay, that's okay. I like that one. That looks like almost like a trout. All right, but if you'll notice, it's really unusual. I noticed this in a couple of the other ones. All right, oops, let me move this. Okay. Me sitting down here, I have the fishing pole coming out here, right? My fishing pole actually ends right there. And when I made the selection, I actually avoided that, but I guess I didn't avoid it enough. It wants to add additional length to my fishing pole. See how it kind of really lines up really nicely? Okay. So I would need to edit that out if I wanted to keep this fish.
Duck?
Yo,
What would it, perhaps if you, instead of telling it whether it's a large or small fish, you say draw the size where you want the fish to
Yep.
go.
okay.
And then say what kind of fish it is, like, largemouth bass or rainbow trout or, whatever.
Okay. Let's give it a shot. All right. So what do we want? Rainbow trout?
Sounds good.
Rainbow trout. All right. So one of the problems that I have with generative AI is that it's a crapshoot. Obviously, you know. Actually, that's not too bad. All right, number one, number two, that does not look like a trout, and number three, oh, that one kind of sorta. All right, that's probably the best one right there. It's got a fishing lure and everything on it. Okay. So it's a little bit of a crapshoot in what you get. And unfortunately, if you have a bunch of failures, it counts against your credits. That part, kind of irks me a little bit. But I can't think of any way of circumventing that. I mean, A learning process is a learning process. So, yeah, you're just going to need to kind of work through it.
How do you,
Yeah.
how do you draw the fishing line in to connect it?
I'll just do it with a brush.
Oh,
I'll just get like
can you
a,
show?
1 or 2 pixel brush. Okay. It almost looks like there's a lure on it. All right. So, all right. Now, if you notice, it regenerated my background too. Okay. And I'm going to, don't let me forget, I'm going to talk about another negative aspect of these generative fills. All right.
Wouldn't it be interesting if, since the AI took a look at that orientation of the fish and go, must have a hook in its mouth because they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. That part, is kind of impressive. It doesn't quite look like a lure, but it could be looked at like a lure. It comes close. All right, so I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to select my brush. Okay. I'm going to make my brush really, really small, only like 2 pixels. Okay. Hard round brush, 2 pixels. And I'm going to pick a light color there, kind of, sort of from there. Where's my color? Let's make it a little bit lighter. Say okay. I'm going to go to the top of my fishing pole. I'm going to click, and holding the shift key, I'm going to click straight down. Okay. And I think 2 pixels is not enough. So I'm just going to build it up a little bit. Shift, click, shift, click. Okay. And fishing line. All right. Just like that. All right. Let's try 4 pixels. All right. And we'll do it to this fish here. Let's bring that layer above that fish. Click at the end of my pole, shift, click to the fish, and add a couple passes to it. There we go. And we have a fishing line. All right, and we can move this out of the way. Okay. And now I have my fishes. Okay. Now, one of the things about the generative fill is, like I said, you can use it to remove stuff as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just for this example, I'm going to do a stamp layer of everything. So that way here, hold on, let me shift, put that into a group. All right, and I turn that off. So now the only thing that's visible is my stamp layer, right? And I said, you know what? Let me get rid of the guy sitting down. Okay. So I'm going to make a very careful selection around me. All right. I got to make sure that I get the fishing pole. All right. And you're going to see that it's going to run into some problems. All right. It's not the most perfect, tool that's available. All right. So there I made a selection all around me. All right. I go to generative fill. Okay. I don't want to replace it with anything, so I'm going to leave it blank. All right. And then when you hit the generate button, it just assumes that what is being selected here, it assumes that you want to get rid of it. Let's have a good laugh. Cool. Okay. I take it back. It actually did a fairly decent job. It did a really damn good job. All right. I'm impressed. Previous times I've tried something similar like this, it just left all kinds of artifacts. But I'm impressed. I thought it was going to have a harder time with that wall. Okay. It might have a hard time with this version of me simply because the background has a very unique architecture to it. So it may have difficulties with that. Okay. But again, it's going to give you 3 generations. 1, 2, 3. All right. And they're all pretty darn good. I don't like that one as much. Even look at here. It even put a little bit of greenery right there. All right. I kind of like that. That one, this area is a little too clean. I kind of like the first generation. Okay. All right. So what are some of the limitations? Okay. Now, obviously, all right, let me zoom out. Let me close this. All right. I am working on a full resolution image here. All right. The image resolution is 5,575 by 3,739. It's large. Okay. There is a limit to what generative fill, generative expand does in terms of image resolution. Okay. And right, it used to be 1080, but I think they upped it to 2000. If I recall, last time I read, it was a 2000 by 2000 pixel square where you would get the native resolution. Okay. So what's a 2000 by 2000 pixel square? So here's my marquee. I'm going to, let's see, what do I, oh no, let's, yeah, marquee. Let's do fixed size. I'll do 2000 by 2000 pixels, right? Okay. And if I click, it's going to give me, all right, 2000 by 2000. Okay. That's pretty good size. Okay. But if you're using this to, if you're using this to generate an entire background, or if you expand your canvas, if you're using it to expand a canvas, what happens is it's going to take that 2000 pixel and expand it to fit. Okay. So if we remove the background, all right, actually, let me go ahead and get rid of that. All right, this is what I generated. All right, if we get rid of the mask, you'll see that what it generated was a rectangle. Okay. And I don't think I can measure that rectangle. Can I measure it? Yeah, it's not going to show me the dimensions. Okay. All right. So it's going to generate a rectangle. If the generation, no, I'm sorry. If your selection is that 2000 pixels or less, you're good to go. Okay. If your selection is larger, what it needs to do is it needs to, once it generates it, it's going to scale it, all right, to fit whatever the new dimension is. All right. Now, what happens to pixels when you scale it up? You start losing pixel density, you start losing image quality, you start losing integrity, all right? The image suffers, you start degrading your image, all right? That's what's going to happen here, all right? So you have to keep in mind that you cannot, in order to maintain that fidelity, you need to keep your selection size small, okay? Now, we haven't really discussed expanding a scene, okay? So let me go ahead and say I want to expand a scene. All right, well, first of all, let me zoom into this, okay? Even here, all right, let me bring the fish back here. Where's my large fish? Is my large? Okay. What I want you to do is look at, hopefully you can see it. I don't know if it comes across on the video. All right. You can actually follow the outline I created, okay? Because there is a fidelity issue. All right, out here we have a little bit of noise, okay, which has been artificially sharpened, correct? That's something that I did when I created the image. But the new generation here is soft, okay? It's unsharpened, all right? It's also within areas, there's contrast, okay? And it's lacking noise. All right, so it's off. It's off. I mean, it does a great job, but it's off just a little bit, okay? Now, in this particular case, because we do have a mask, all right? Here's, oops, wrong one. Here's our mask, okay? I can actually take a brush, okay, let's go to 100%, soft brush, all right, white, nope, I'm sorry, black is my foreground color, and I don't know if you're gonna, hopefully you'll see the background shift as I erase, not erase, I'm actually removing it by manipulating the mask. I'm bringing the mask in closer to the fish. All right, so I made my selection. The AI used that selection to generate its mask, and within that mask is where my generative AI image is, right? So now, because it also generated background, if that background is too works against me, I can remove that background by bringing the mask in. All right, let me show you. Bringing that mask in, painting it in closer to the subject. Okay. So now, instead of being that soft, whatchamacallit, that that soft, untextured look that doesn't quite match, all right, I can blend it in a little bit better. I can even get rid of that, whatever that thing is sticking out of its tail, all right? So I can get rid of all that fuzzy, soft focus, because it assumes that my background was soft focused anyway. And because I artificially sharpened it way too much, it doesn't quite match it. Okay. But now, there we go. A few passes with the brush and I can get rid of that background. Okay. So just like any composite, you can take it that step further and clean it up. Okay. Don't just, call it done. Generate and call it done. Okay. All right. So now let me back this up. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring me back there because I kind of like that. All right. Let's say I wanted to expand my image and make it a little bit more of a diorama or a panorama by increasing the size of my canvas a little bit more to the right hand side. Okay. So let me just get rid of that. Crop tool. Oh, let's go back to our original ratio. We're going to clear. Okay. And I'm just going to expand out. I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to expand a lot. So you kind of get to see. Remember, again, we have a limitation of 2000 by 2000 pixels if the new stats are correct. All right. If they're not correct, it's definitely 1080. Okay. Which 1080 in a high resolution image, it's nothing. Okay. So here we have an area that is 3,744 pixels tall. That exceeds the 2000 pixel limit. Okay. All right. So it's going to show where it fails. Okay. Now, because I used the crop tool and I expanded it, you're going to notice that the contextual bar now says generative expand rather than generative fill. All right. So this is where the context bar will give you prompts according to what it is that you are doing. Okay. I'm going to leave it blank because I don't want to generate anything new for it. So what happens is Adobe is going to analyze the image, see what the elements are within that image, and it's going to use the current information that's in the image in order to build the expansion. So I can take a wild guess, okay? And I'm going to say that it's going to notice that this hillside is going down here. Ooh, I can draw. It's going down, right? And it's probably going to continue it down here, right? It sees that this wall has water, so I have a feeling it's going to continue that wall, continue the water, continue the sidewalk, and this will be filled in with grass. All right, so this will be wall, wall. Okay, that's my guess. I could be wrong. It's a crapshoot. So we click on done. Generative expand. All right, well, what happened? I did. All right, generative expand. Okay, well, what did I do? I did something wrong. All right, let me back it up. All right. Generative expand. There we go. I forgot to click on it. And then generate. Okay. Gonna do its thinking. Generate 3 variations and send it back. Okay. And there it goes. Okay. There's variation number 1, variation number 2, and variation number 3. Now, this is where I have a little bit of a problem. And it's a minor one, and it's probably just kind of a pet peeve. But you have to be aware of this issue if what you are trying to sell is a reality. Okay? Alan, you were here with us. Okay? What sits right here?
Waterfall.
A waterfall. What's missing right there? A waterfall. If I were to try to pass this off as a legit photo, I am going to get called out by anyone who knows that park. They're going to go, what the hell? You did something to the image. That's not what it looks like. There's a waterfall supposed to be there. Why'd you get rid of the waterfall? Oh, I didn't get rid of it. I just never added it in. Okay? So you have to, just be aware that when you use this tool, there are certain, what's the term? Social norms, what's the term? I can't even think of the term. That's a good one. Social responsibility that you need to take with your photography. If you want to be taken, for real. All right. With the generative AI, I have seen some really phenomenal work, and people are trying to pass it off as their own. And all it takes is one cursory look at some of their other images to know that there's no way in hell they did that. All right? Because it just looks too good compared to all the crap that they were doing previously. All right? So that's one aspect of it. Secondly, again, like I said, anybody who knows this is going to see that, hey, what happened to the waterfall? There's no waterfall. Okay? And you're going to say, well, what are the chances of somebody, knowing where this place is and that there's supposed to be a waterfall? Anybody who lives in the area. Anybody who looks at your photographs. Okay? So just, be aware. Ooh, wait a minute. What did it do here? It put garbage on the sidewalk. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, now, oops, Control Escape, Control 0. All right. Now, like I said, one of the limitations is the size of the generation that it creates. Okay, you're limited to a specific size. It's low res. Again, it's got to travel, up to the cloud and back. All right, so these image packets can't be overly large. Otherwise, it just eats up bandwidth, and Adobe needs to have certain control over their bandwidth as well, because it all costs money. All right. So in order to fill a space that is larger than its native format, it has to expand it. So now if we zoom in, okay, All right. This is actually a bad image because, you know, my background originally was kind of blurry to begin with. Let me see. Can I get rid of the sharpen? Yeah, let's get rid of the sharpen. That sharpen is like way too overkill. All right. Okay. So this actually doesn't look too bad. Okay. My background blur. Okay. Because you can tell where one is and where the other one isn't. Okay. Kind of matches, right? But when we start getting closer, all right, like in here, we can definitely see a demarcation line. Okay. Can you see it? It's literally right there. Okay. Because the textures don't match. All right. My texture is actually a little softer. All right. And look at the texture there. Okay. The textures don't match. Textures don't match. Okay. So one way to get around this that I've seen is where you generate in pieces. Okay. So here it is. You generated a large one, and what you'll do is you'll go ahead and create, all right, a smaller. All right, there's my 2000 by 2000 pixel square, right? Okay. It doesn't quite go all. Can you guys see it? The marquee, marching ants. It's kind of hard to tell on the video, isn't it? It is, right? Okay, let's see if I can point it out here.
It's hard to see, but we can see.
All right. So this, yeah. All right. So this right here, the marching ants. All right. This is my 2000 by 2000 pixel square. Okay. So you can see that the native resolution is much smaller than what it generated and then stretched. So one way to overcome this is to just go ahead and get the native generation, the selection to the native size, and just hit generate. Okay. The only problem is it does not generate an exact copy just at a better resolution of what's underneath it. It's going to generate a whole new different image. Okay. All right. But it's going to be at a higher resolution because it didn't take that 2000 pixels and stretch it. Make sense? Okay. All right. So it's a little bit of a workaround. But now if we zoom in, all right. Oh, there it is. Oh, wait a minute. Where is the new one? Oh, it's right there. I could even tell. All right, we can tell where the old one is, or can we? It's a little bit of a ghost on the edge, little bit of a ghost, all right? But the resolution is a lot higher, okay? And at any point, you can always go back to the mask, like I said, and just with a soft round brush, black as your foreground color, you can, just kind of clean up that edge if it's too funky for you. All right. you only have whatever overlap you gave your selection. That's all you have. So you can't go too far, okay? And, before it starts getting outside of your selection, all right? Just like that, okay? But if you give yourself a little bit of an overlap, you can blend that edge in a little bit if it's too obvious, okay? Like right there, that's a little bit too obvious right there. There we go. Okay. And you can see there's my selection. Okay. Because I turned off the original. All right. And it does a really good job of lining it up. Okay. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to create another one here. All right. I'm going to move it to the top. I'm going to go ahead, click on that, leave it blank, generate. So in order to get a native resolution for that big space, I have to do it 4 times. Upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. Okay. And of course, we can select from 1, 2, or 3. Oof. I'll stick with number 1. Okay. All right, and of course now we just need to fill in the upper right and lower right. Okay, so again, go back to my selection, to the upper right, click on generate. All right. And this is going to present one particular problem. All right, so 1, 2, or 3. Oh, I kind of like 3. There's a little bit of a tree in the corner. Okay, we'll keep number 3. And then one more in the bottom right. Generative fill, generate. Okay, and that should be the last corner. Okay, 1, 2, or 3. Oh, I kind of like number 1. Oh, I kind of like number 2. Okay, so this is my layer stack. All right, the generative expand, which was, because of the size, was a lower resolution. Then I generated lower left, upper right, and then lower right at the native resolution. Okay, so that means I can turn off that generative expand and you're not going to notice anything. Okay, because it's been covered over, correct? All right. So now I have my generative 1, okay, which is now underneath my generative fill 4, right? If I were to rearrange these, all right, by saying, hey, I want that one on top, we start getting into problems, okay? Because that generative fill number 4 was based on the information that was in generative fill number 1, okay? So once we put them out of order, it no longer works, okay? Also, if I go back, all right, here I am in generative fill number 1. If I say, you know what, I don't want that first generation, that first suggestion, I want that second one, kind of sort of matches. That's not too bad. But here in this one, you can see it does not match. We have a mismatch. Okay. So once you make a decision and you generate something else that overlaps that decision, you're kind of stuck with that decision because the generative fill is based on all the layers below it. And if you have a generative fill as part of your lower layers, it's going to use that active version to build its next iteration on. Okay, so you can't go back and just willy-nilly change your mind. It's going to create problems. Make sense? Everybody understand that? Okay. And this is only when you have multiple tiles, let's call them, multiple tiles that overlap each other. Okay. If they were just standalone, there'd be no issues. No issues. Okay. If you do any additional layers above it, okay, if you continue, working on your composition and you add a bunch of other layers and you decide to retroactively go back and switch a variation, just remember all those upper layers may now throw that lower layer off. Okay. So even if it's just some kind of color correction or whatever. Okay. All right.
Doc, I have a question. Would it be better if you wanted to expand it instead of, the first time you went out too far and then you were doing the 4 things, if you just did, a little bit at a time to expand? You know what I mean?
You can, but generative expand is based on the crop tool. Okay. So whenever I use the crop tool, all right, let's say I just do a tiny little bit. Okay. It's a tiny little bit. That's not 2,000 pixels tall. But guess what? This is 7,912 pixels wide. Okay. So when I use generative expand on this, it's going to take that 2,000 pixel native and stretch it to almost 8,000 pixels. All right. There's no way of doing it in pieces with generative expand. All right. Now, what I could do is I can go ahead and not do a generative expand. Oh, cancel. All right. Let's try that again. Crop, bring it up. Okay. What is selected right up here? All right. Generative expand. All right. For my fill. Okay. We need to take that off. I can do content aware fill, or I can just do transparent default. Okay. So I'm going to keep it transparent default because now at this point, okay. Transparent default, hit on OK. Okay. Now I have empty pixels up here. At this point, I can now go to the marquee tool, fix size 2000 by 2000. All right. That's going to give me a 2000 by 2000 pixel square. That's going to really, really encroach on the lower part. Okay. You can see that it's 2000 pixels lands there. All right. So that 2000 by 2000 is not going to work. All right. So let's take it and let's do a height of 1000 pixels. Okay. And see if that works. Okay. So now that works a little bit better. Okay. If we look, we have a good sizable overlap here that we can use to manipulate if we need to do any kind of blending. Okay. All right. And we have 2000 pixels wide. Now what I can do is I can generate a fill. All right. So this is generative fill. It's not generative expand. Although in the way that I'm using it is to expand the canvas little by little. Okay. So now I'm going to add another one. I'm going to overlap it just a bit. Okay. Click on that, generate. All right. And you can see it, you know, when you're doing something where it requires multiple generations, it's going to take time because it's got to obviously communicate with
Now it's generative fill using credits.
yes, anytime you hit generate,
Okay.
yeah, all right. So now remember, okay, I've just generated the second tile over, which overlaps my first one. Okay, if I were to go back to that first tile, actually, let me go ahead and bring these to the top. Okay, if I were to go back to that first tile and say, no, I don't want the first suggestion, I want the second one, it's not going to match. Or the third one, it's not going to match. Okay, because that second tile is based on the first tile, and I had that first option. Okay, so be careful with what you do. You want to kind of settle on the look of the tile you're working on before you move on to the next one. All right, so here we go. Next tile, I'm going to again overlap it by a little bit. Another generate. All right. So it's going to expand the canvas at the native resolution. And you just need to do it in steps. All right. And people are writing scripts for this now. Pixel Perfect, I think, just wrote a script that allows you to turn this into an action that will calculate how many, you know, tiles across it needs, and it's going to generate them automatically. However, it's going to take the first suggestion, you know, so you can't do it manually, right? And then the final one, I'm just going to put it right there. Generate. Okay, and that should fill it in with tree, a little bit of tree. Oh, it cut off the top of the tree. I don't like that. Give me tree. Give me my tree back. Okay, well, it didn't. All right, so now I have shift group before and after. Before and after. All right. Any questions on anything we've done so far? Let's see. Oh, we'll put I know what. We'll put a little wishing well. Wishing well. Let's see what happens. All right, I got one more thing to show you, and then that's pretty much it. This isn't it, though. This is just, oh, wishing well, and it put, hey, Carol, is that you in the background? I didn't know you were there. Okay, obviously it doesn't know what a wishing well is. Okay, so let's try water well. I got a feeling it's going to fail. Oof. Oof. That's an we'll keep it. We'll keep it. I like it. Okay. All right.
It looks like an outhouse.
It
doesn't
does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So, all right. Last thing. All right. The other nice thing you can do with this, and it's kind of limited, all right, is that you can use it to replicate a painting, whether it's an oil painting or a watercolor painting, okay? So in this case, what we want to do is we want to convert the entire image to a watercolor, all right? But this one is a little tricky, okay? When we did any kind of generative fill here, okay, we are generating an asset, a photographic asset, okay? And that asset looks like that, okay? Actually, if we remove the mask, the asset looks like that. Okay, that was my you know, a little bit beyond the size of the mask that I created. Okay. And if you notice, pixel per pixel across this entire square, it's at 100%. All right. It replaced 100% the pixels below it. So the pixels in the generation do not match in any way, shape, or form the underlying pixels. It's generating new content. It may look similar to the grass and the rocks and everything else below it, but they are new pixels, new configurations, new everything, okay? So what does that mean? If we want to use it to create, for example, a watercolor of one of your photographs, first you have to make a selection, all right? And in this case, I'm going to select the entire image, so Control A, or you can just Control and then click on the layer, and it's going to select the entire layer. Now, if I were to just say watercolor, oops, what happened? I pressed the wrong button. Watercolor, right? Okay. Ooh, it gets rid of my taskbar. Okay. Doesn't like it. Doesn't like my taskbar. Damn it. All right. So if I were to just take my context menu and just put watercolor. Oh, I keep hitting the cap locks. That probably doesn't matter. And hit generate. It's going to generate an entirely new original image based on that prompt. Okay. And what we get, doesn't look anything like the underlying image, right? It's watercolor, but it didn't turn my image into a watercolor image. Okay? This is because when we create the mask, we are telling Photoshop 100% opacity needs to fill that mask. And that's exactly what it's doing. It's filling it in with 100% opacity of the new generation. Okay? However, we can get creative. Let me just dump that one. We can get creative by using opacities with our mask selection. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Control Alt, I'm going to go to my channels. All right. Add a new channel, alpha channel, and I'm going to fill, edit, fill, okay? And this is where you kind of need to experiment. I've done a little experimentation with this, and I find that you get varying degrees of good results when the opacity is a lot more on the lighter side. Okay, so just to start, I'm going to start off with 50% opacity. Okay, 50%. Okay, fill. All right, and layer. Is that it? Did it fill it? Edit, fill. Oh, let's try 50% gray. Okay, there we go. Okay, 50% gray. All right, and there's my 50% gray. And now if I go to the generative fill and I put in watercolor, all right, and then hit enter. Oh, let's go back to my layers. Oh, it didn't do it. Why? I did something wrong, folks. I did something wrong. What did I do? I was doing this last week. I did it, I don't know how many times. And of course, now I can't remember. Control Alt, Q, edit, file, edit, fill, 50% gray, okay. All right, watercolor. All right, I'm at a loss. I'm doing something wrong. I was doing this. Edit, fill. Oh, opacity. Oh, okay. Hold on. Black. Let's try 30%. Layers. See if I can remember how to do this. Where's my fill? Hold on. Layers. I'm gonna have to read up again because I'm definitely doing something wrong. Give me 1 second. Channels. Let's get rid of that. All right. So Command A. Oh, Command A. All right, there we go. All right, edit, fill. Let's go 30%. Okay. There we go. Then click OK. All right, generative fill, watercolor. Did it do it? Didn't do it. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had this down, and I guess I don't. I was doing this last week, and I was getting some really cool results, and now I can't replicate it. Why can't I replicate it? Oh, I know why. Maybe I need to be on a new layer. Edit, fill, preserve transparency. Okay. Watercolor. I don't think it's going to work. I got a feeling. I'm going to have to get back to you on this. Yeah, because that's not it. And I was having so much fun. Now I can't replicate it.
Duck, are you saying that this is an advertised feature that you can generate?
It is. It is. You can watercolor or oil paint. All right. Choose. All right. Control Alt. Choose Edit. Fill. Brightness to. And choose color. Oh, color. Oh, that's the step. That's the step. You got to fill it with color. Fill it with color, and in the color, you're not filling it with color. What you're doing is you're filling it with a shade of gray, right? And if it's solid black, it's going to generate 100%. When the lighter it gets, the more the underlying layer influences what you do. Okay, so let's do 30%. Oh no, I'm sorry, not 30%. 60%. Let's do 60. 70%. Okay. Okay. Now we watercolor. Now it should work. Now it should work. That's the step I was forgetting. No! Oh! What the hell? Oh, I know what did I do? Hold on. What the heck? Select the entire canvas. Choose edit. Alpha channel. You know what? I'm gonna have to edit, fill, color. Okay. Watercolor. I'm missing a step. I'm trying to go by memory, and I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm not. It's not working. I'm gonna have to get back to you. I failed miserably in that tutorial. Okay.
It makes me feel better that you have problems because I always have problems.
But yeah, Yeah. Oh, I have photos of an abandoned factory over in Ansonia that I took some pictures of. And I was playing around with the watercolor and the oil painting all last week. And now when I try to replicate it, I can't make it work. I don't know. I'm missing a step. It's tricky. There's a and I'm missing a step. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the step is that I'm forgetting. So I'm gonna have to get
Maybe the picture is
back
better
to you.
not being a watercolor. That's
No, I mean it did. I mean, you could tell it was manipulated. Whether it looks like a realistic watercolor, that was, yeah, that left a little bit to be desired. And the oil painting was another one that just, yeah, you can kind of sort of tell, but not quite. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get back to you because I can't remember what it is. So, okay. That was so cool, and I wanted to like really impress you guys, and I failed. All right, so let's see. I just pulled up a tutorial. Let me follow it step by step. Select the channels panel, click new channel. See, I don't remember doing that last time. Select the entire canvas area, fill and choose color, edit, fill, choose. Oh, here, hold on. Let's go 100% there. Let's choose color. I'll do 50% here, or 50% brightness. So we're looking at the brightness level. Again, it doesn't matter what color, just the brightness level. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Click OK, then OK. Your black alpha channel is now filled with 40% gray.
I didn't type watercolor.
No, not yet. We gotta go. See, we gotta go back to, I believe, watercolor. I got a feeling I'm still missing a step. This doesn't feel right. No, I'm still missing a step. Still missing a step, and I don't know what it is. Oh, come on. Forget it. uh Yeah, I still think I'm missing a step. This doesn't ring. Yeah, it's not ringing a bell with me as being correct. I'm definitely missing a step. It was, oh, I think, wait a minute. I think I remember. Control Alt, go into here, edit, and this is the quick mask. Fill, color, okay, okay. Get out. And now generate watercolor. Was that the process, I think? My memory's starting to come back. See what happens when you get old? Oh, there we go. There we go. We're getting someplace. There we go. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay. So this is at 50%. Ah, I remembered. I remembered. Okay. I'll walk you through the step. Okay. All right. Because it does depend on the opacity of the fill on the mask, not the fill of the image. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is what it generates at 50%. So what it's doing, it's saying, all right, I'm going to take 50% influence from that image that's already here, and I'm going to generate something that resembles a watercolor based on the composition here. All right. So if we look at it, all the elements are there of our scene, right? We have the pointed roof. We got the door. All right. It should be red, but we got the horizon line. Right. We got all the elements are there, and it definitely looks like a watercolor. Okay. It looks like a watercolor. My grandson did at 9 years old, but it looks like a watercolor. Okay. So what are the steps? Okay. I'm going to go back to my original layer. Okay. I'm going to go into the quick mask, Q for quick mask. Okay. Or you can just go to this little icon down here. All right. You click it. You notice that when you're in quick mask mode, your layer, your active layer, is going to pick up whatever color your mask overlay is. All right. Mine is this lime green. The default is usually that kind of like ruby lith red. Okay. So if you've got the default, yours is going to be red. I've gone and changed mine. All right. Now we go edit, fill. All right. Blending stays normal. We're going to go color. Okay. And again, it doesn't matter color. We're going to be using shades of black and gray. The more dark it is, means the more the AI will influence the image. Okay. The lighter the color, the more the image is going to influence the AI. All right. So we tried it at 50. You saw what we got. Let's try it at 75. Okay. Hit OK. OK again. All right. Now we have to get out of quick mask mode. Letter Q is a shortcut. Okay. Now we cannot see the transparency overlay. All right, because that's in the mask. All right. So we just kind of have to go on faith here. All right. Let's try watercolor again. Watercolor. Enter. All right. So I tried watercolor and oil paint, and they work really, really well. I tried line art and sketch, and that didn't work. Okay. All right. Now we're getting someplace. Version 1, version 2. Well, kind of like that. Kind of a little bit of free. Ooh, that's kind of neat too. Okay. Between 1 and 3. I like 3 better. Okay. All right. So now if we compare that with the 50%, you can see how much more refined that is, right? Okay. So let's try one more. Letter Q goes into quick mask mode. All right. Again, you can also click on this little icon here. That will take you in and out of quick mask mode. Okay. Edit, fill, color. All right. You have to click on color to bring up this color picker. Let's bring it to to 90%. Okay, hit OK. OK again. Q to get out of quick mask. Watercolor in the prompt. And now we should get an even better result. Nice. Okay, let me close this up. That's our original. That's our watercolor. Definitely looks like watercolor, and definitely looks a little bit more like somebody took their time painting this with watercolors rather than, what, a beginning watercolor artist would do or an intermediate watercolor artist would do. All right. So this one here is at 90%. Okay, so that 10% black in there. This is at 75%, and this one was at 50%. So 90, 75, and 50 gives you that varying the level, okay? All right, let's go and do one more. Quick mask, fill, edit, fill, color, and we'll go 80%. Okay. Okay. Get out of quick mask with the letter Q and oil paint. And let's see what we get. There we go. All right. Version 1, ooh, that's kind of cool. And version 3, no, I kind of like number 2. Oh, very sloppy painter. Either that or those are my sensor spots that I didn't clean. Oh my God. Okay. So, I mean, you can generate a new one. You can, use, some, let's create a blank layer over that. We'll use the remove tool. Make my brush a little bit bigger. Paint on that, paint on that, paint on that. Yeah, it does a good job. Clean it up. Oops. Okay. A little turd on the road there. A little spot there. Okay, that looks pretty decent. What do you think? Looks like an oil painting, right? And that's at 80%. So I can imagine at 90% you would get a little bit more finer details into it. But I love, look at that impasto going on with the brush strokes. Okay. All right.
You make it look like Van Gogh colors or a certain artist.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
Someday will.
Well, let's give it a try. Now that I remember how to do it, Q to go into quick mask, fill, color. Let's bring that back up to 90. I kind of like that 90. Okay, okay. Q again. Van Gogh. VOGH, right? And GOGH, I believe. Painting. Let's see what happens. I got a feeling it probably not going to be that. It's not going to replicate the style of. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't replicate the style of. Oh, that's kind of nice. It's not a Van Gogh, but that's a nice painting. That's a lot more refined looking than that one. You know. So, but anyway, hopefully you can have some fun with this. Hopefully, you know, especially with the more artistic aspects of it. Like I said, I tried pencil sketch. I tried line drawing, and they both failed. Oh, let me go. Q, edit, fill, color. Okay, Q, sketch. I like I said, I tried it with some abandoned. Oh, how many of you like photographing abandoned buildings? Yeah, see, it doesn't do anything with the sketch. I'm trying to see if we can get access to some of the old abandoned factories in Ansonia. I was talking to one of the guys that works for the Ansonia Development Commission, and I think there's a strong possibility of getting in there to do some photography. So I'm working on it. Okay, so version 1, version 2, version 3. Yeah, doesn't look like a sketch. Okay, all right. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got. I'm so glad I remembered. It was frustrating me. And that tutorial I pulled up was absolutely no use. So,
Doug,
yes.
what was the name of that menu that floats around? And how do you activate it?
The contextual menu, this one?
That's what that.
Yeah, it's called a contextual menu. All right, if you don't see it, you have to go to the top where it says window. All right, window. Go almost all the way to the bottom, and you're going to see contextual taskbar. And then just check it. All right, so if it's not there, go down, check it. Okay. And what's going to happen every time you do something, all right, every time you switch, like for example, here we go. I'm going to move it to the top. All right, I took it off the, I unpinned it. I moved it to the top because I said I want to work on the bottom of my image. I want the taskbar at the top. I'm going to switch over to a new layer. Oh, now it's not, oh yeah. And there it goes. It jumps to the bottom. I move it. I do something else. It's going to jump to the bottom. It's so frustrating. Okay. So what I did is on where it has the 3 ellipses, just click on that. And just the bottom one is pin bar position. Now I can put this wherever I want. I can move around and it's not going to jump to new places. If you want it in a new place, you have to move it to the new place. All right. It won't do it on its own. And I like that feature a little bit better, but you know, to each their own. Okay. It takes a while to get used to that taskbar being there. At first, I hated it. I hated it because I'm so used to just knowing where to go or knowing what shortcut key to press to get something done. So for me, that taskbar was just, it was visually in my way. It was annoying. But after a while, I kind of got used to it. But you just got to understand that it's going to suggest the most common action to whatever tool you select. Okay. So by default, we have select subject. Okay. If I were to go ahead and select a brush, it doesn't do anything. All right, let's see. The lasso tool. No, that's, oh, am I on? Yeah. Oh, my crop tool. Okay. I switched to the crop tool. It now says the most common one is a generative expand. Okay. And it gives you a drop down that you can, it's just like going to the top where it says ratio. It's right here, this, and it just puts it right there in the context bar. Okay. And you also have, of course, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong screen. There we go. Generative expand. This ratio thing here, it's the same one as this. Okay. So if you didn't have the context bar, it's, you have access to all the tools, right? This little tool here, oops, wrong button. This little tool is the same one as this one here. Okay. And of course, if you hit that, it just brings you the taskbar control. So what's missing is all these other things that are available on the tool menu box at the top. Okay. So for me, it really didn't make any sense to have this taskbar here. Okay. Because this is just a short, really minuscule version of the full menu bar at the top. However, because this taskbar is designed to work with the AI interface, where you need to have a text box to type in what it is that you want to generate, I can understand why they put it there rather than, shoving it somewhere up in the tool menu box at the top. Okay. So I can understand why they did it. It just took me a while to get used to it. And now I don't mind it. I just make sure that I put it on pin bar position, and wherever I place it, it kind of stays there. So I can tuck it out of the way, go about my regular activities, and when I need it, I have access to it. All right. Okay. Oh, my jaw hurts. Any any other questions? No, that's it.
I have to absorb all that. I have to watch the video again.
Yeah.
At least the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, I apologize for confusing it, but I couldn't remember the steps. Once, of course, like anything, when you're learning something new, it takes a while. Once you learn it, piece of cake. You can do it in your sleep. I'm still learning it. So, forgive me for not having all my ducks in a row, pun intended.
So where did you come across the initial steps on how to do this, or that worked? You just didn't start wandering and do your
So I've been watching a lot of videos on the generative AI. I started watching them when it was in beta form, in the Photoshop beta. All right. And I'm not going to load beta onto my system because I just have no interest. in playing around with any kind of beta software. So my only exposure was through watching these videos. And of course, these people that play around with beta versions, they love to push the limits. And I saw one guy doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and figured out how to manipulate the masks in order to give you that watercolor look, you know. And it just, I kind of liked the idea. Of course, being an artist myself, I've always wanted to learn how to do watercolor. I never put the time into it. So I am a terrible watercolorist. So of course, when I saw that he can turn a photograph into a watercolor, it piqued my interest. And I said, "Ooh, I got to play around with this," you know. And I was having fun. And of course, I got busy with my client's work, and I kind of put that aside. And of course, when you're learning something new, if you're not doing it over and over, it, like you saw, it just right out of my head, you know. But yeah, it was just from watching videos. That's where I picked it up. I don't even know who it was that I saw do it. I watched so many videos. So, all right. Any other questions? No? Okay. Don't forget, coming up, don't forget, again, if you're interested in my friend Lexi's presentation on tips and tricks for the visually impaired, go ahead and sign up on the ctppa.com website. Actually, I can probably put something in the events page too for that. And of course, this coming Saturday, we're going to be Tucker's Ridge in Orange. Brian, have you ever been there? I know you suggested it, but have you?
I drove up and took a look. It's really kind of funny when you drive up to it because it really looks like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get to the end and there's a little trail. I haven't wandered down to that, but I went over there when I first saw that. This friend of mine that told me about it took some pictures from there, and I go,
yeah,
right across the river from me.
yeah, seriously. Yeah, and I'm right up the hill from there. You know, you and I live stone's throw away. And from what I've read, because I like you, I haven't even visited that spot yet. But from what I read, is it's a simple walk from where you park to that overlook. So my wife, who's got two bad knees, is gonna like that.
If I just do the GPS Tucker's Ridge, it will take me.
Yes, yeah, it's on Google Maps. It's labeled Tucker's Ridge. The same with Jafrita Park. The following week, Jafrita Park. It's a small little park, little excuse me, little parking lot, and literally, 50 steps is the water's edge, and there's picnic tables there to sit down at, and it's got an earthworks dam that you can walk out onto if you want to change up your perspective. If you are the hiker type, you can hike up to, the trail makes a loop around the entire lake. And it's not a big loop. I think it's only like 2 miles or something like that. Mile something, 2 miles. It's not very big. All right. But there's a quarry on the west side of the lake, and that's what gives it the hillside. So it's very rocky, and it's a bit of a climb to get up onto that overlook, the overlook for the lake. Okay. But I'm just going to stay down at the bottom, get a nice view of the lake with the hillside of trees going into the distance, and I'll be happy. I'm not going to risk my knees climbing. I'm not a young guy anymore.
What are my hips?
Yeah, between my wife and I, we have one good knee.
Hey, Doc,
Yeah,
I'm looking at Google Maps as we speak,
yeah.
and if you type in Tucker's Ridge, it says High Ridge Road Orange, and it shows that trail where you go in. But then there's also down at the other, I don't know how far that. Well, I guess it's only about
Yeah, it's not a very big
oh,
park.
10,000 feet. That's not too bad.
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
But then you can come in another way. It looks like, but I don't know if that's. There's another place that says Tucker's Ridge, and that's at the end of Cedar Grove Road. And it looks like that's about 1,000 feet from that one that says there's a place called the Housatonic Overlook, which is that whole area, and it looks like
Yeah, I think that
it's a trail that connects those two areas. I think if you get on Google Maps and turn on the the terrain view, it'll show you that. But the one that says that's on High Ridge Road shows this nice picture of you walking down there, and there's 85 photos with it. So
yeah.
anyway,
Oh,
I know. Oh, I see what's going on. That High Ridge Road. It's saying here now.
Cedar Grove, and yeah, so Housatonic Overlook is probably where we want to be
Yeah, so you would come in on the
on
follow Google Maps.
High Ridge Road. Yeah, I'll make a little note on the event page. I should probably take a ride out there and scout it out.
I'm pretty sure when I went there, I went to the other one because I remember there being a cul-de-sac, and that's like, oh, this looks kind of a strange place. But so that's where I was at the other end.
Yeah, but
South.
yeah, but look at that view. Look at that view. That's gorgeous. Here's a note. Look at that view. All right. If we can't this is video.
That's
All right.
orange?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah, I
on,
thought that was Milford.
it looks like Colorado.
Oh, I know, huh? Yeah, I think it's on the right on near the border. 'Cause Wilbur Cross, I think it's on the Stratford, Orange, Milford border. It's really strange in that area. But yeah, it's a small little park. But, yeah. Nice. Okay.
So
And if I could fly over there, if I could fly over there, it'd be 2,000 feet straight across. But
Yeah.
Tucker's Ridge twice. Which one are we going to on the map?
The Housatonic Overlook, so it'll be off of High Ridge Road.
that's the north one, I think, Alan.
The north one, yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, and like what Brian said is that there's a trail that connects the two. So
All right. We're good. No rain.
no rain. Yeah. Let's cross fingers, cross toes. All right, so Saturday, if it rains Saturday, we'll go Sunday. If it rains Sunday, then, we scrap it and go to Jafrita Park the following week.
We go bowling.
We go bowling, yeah. Okay, awesome. Awesome, guys. Okay,
All right.
Thanks, Doc.
you are welcome.
Everybody.
All right. Deb, thank you for joining us. Brian, Alan, Carol, Bob usually leaves early. So next week is Q&A. So bring your questions. I'll see if I can have something prepared to talk about. So, oh, I do have something. Okay, I'll have something prepared. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, have a good one.
Okay.
Thank you ever so much
Bye.
for your support, and we'll see you whenever.
Hi.
And my outro's not
Thank you
working.
for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them